Absolutely, and I am. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Basically, my whole comment with Carl was, if he goes 11-1, he's gone. But how many times has Memphis gone 11-1? You know, I, I, I don't remember a time. Can they do it? Yeah, they can do it. I believe in them. I've been a fan for 35. Since I could talk and walk. But 11-1, man, that's hard to do in a city like Memphis. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. Man, 10-2 would be great. The Navy game, well, UCLA of course is the game. That's the game. If we can get past them, everything is in our favor in that game. We have the talent on the team to beat UCLA. That's a long way to travel to play a 9 a.m. kickoff. They're going to be in foreign territory, they're as far west as you can go, just about. And I think we win. I think it's going to be the same. When I look at this schedule and season, and the talent that we have, the coach that we have, the players that we have, it reminds me of 2015. And you just put Ole Miss in there. I mean, you put UCLA in there instead of Ole Miss. UCLA comes in. They got a really good quarterback. He's young, though. I think that we can put pressure on him on the outside. I really do. I love Sharif White. Jackson Dillon's back. It looks like he's added some weight. I was really impressed with the freshman from South Panola in the middle last night. We had some injuries last night, which kind of hurts, but we have depth. You guys just, people just haven't heard of them yet. We definitely have depth. Now they're freshmen, sophomores, some JUCO transfer guys, but there's going to be some names here 3, 4, 5 games in that we're talking about that people don't know about yet. I saw a few of them last night. Even I, who claimed to be a huge Tiger fan, there were some names that I wasn't really familiar with that already, to me, made a name for themselves. I was very impressed with Tony Pollard. I was impressed with Pop. Their abilities to return. I think our special teams will be fine. It's hard to gauge the kicking game in the weather like that, but they didn't do anything wrong last night under the conditions. So it was hard to gauge last night's game. When you look at the score, and you didn't watch the game, it doesn't look good. But if you watch the game, as a fan and with a non-biased opinion, I thought we did okay. Now, if you didn't watch the game and you look at the score, Memphis isn't going to be 6-6, 7-5, which that's just typical Memphis people that don't want to see Memphis do good. So, I'll never understand it. Oh yeah, we. Yeah, yeah. Gary Parrish was down on the sidelines, which was interesting. About a predominantly basketball guy was down there, and he said coming out of the south tunnel, that wind, it was just swirling, especially in the first half. And we're a team that likes to spread it out, man, throw it around. We weren't able to do that last night. We had to go to our run game, and man, was it impressive. I mean, they were throwing guys in number 1, number 6, number 8. I mean, I saw Pollard, I saw Patrick Taylor, I saw Dorland Dorcius, I saw the other kid Henderson. The kid Henderson's going to be, man, he's a beast. He lowers his head, and he laid it on a couple people last night. You know what I mean? So the run game, I believe it's good. The offensive line was very, very impressive. Granted, it was Louisiana Monroe, and they should be impressive. I get that. But, as far as Riley Ferguson goes, it's hard to gauge, man, with those conditions on quarterback play. He made a few mistakes. If that's going to happen, he's a sophomore. You know what I mean? Sure. All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks for calling, 49er Jay. So yeah, man. I appreciate the callers, man. Before I took the calls, I got into I was getting into that Ohio State Indiana game, and Indiana hung for 45. For the first 3 quarters. What I would have done differently as a head coach when they're up 21-20 at home, man. I think you have to control the ball and give your team a chance to win in the fourth quarter. they kept on speeding it. They kept on running that fast-paced offense. They went 3 and out, I think 3 or 4 times, and Ohio State, in return scored 29 unanswered and ended up winning the game by 28 points. You got to give your team a chance. And if you've hung in with a team like Ohio State, it's number 3 in the country, they're that elite, and you're leading with 5 minutes left in the third, you got to start changing. I know that's what got them to that point. But after 1 3 and out, or especially after 2 3 and outs, doing that run and shoot or whatever you want to call it, you need to do something different to give your team a chance, because Ohio State found their rhythm in the fourth, and once they did that, it was pretty much over with. But before the fourth quarter, all I could think about was what Oklahoma was going to do to them next week. Now I have a whole different perspective, because they definitely found their identity in the fourth quarter. I watched it. They began to dominate the game, and then now I have a whole different outlook on that Oklahoma game next week. That was actually one of my plays last night, and we lost. It happens, but I do believe we were on the right side of that one, man. That stuff like that happens. It could have easily been a 21-6 game at one point. There's a tip ball, but there's a lot of ifs in football. I can say if this, if that. But I thought Indiana made a good showing. Central Florida was another game. They played Florida International. Me and Quentin talked about that game on Wednesday. I kind of gave some clues on Wednesday about how much I liked that game. They were a 17-point favorite, and they went in there and won 61-17. That's who the Tigers have up next, and they look good. They played Florida International though. I know Butch Davis is down there now. He's in his first year. New scheme. It's none of his personnel. He brought a few guys in there, but it takes a couple years, 2-3 years at a school like a Florida International or Florida Atlantic. We talked about Lane Kiffin the other day and being down at Florida Atlantic, and he's got some guys. He's gotten some good recruits down there in a bottom tier type of conference. I still don't think Middle Tennessee State and Louisiana Tech will come out of Conference USA as the champion. I don't think that Florida Atlantic can do it. People are picking them to win the conference because of Lane Kiffin and because of a few guys that he brought in there. And I get it. You get 4-star talent down there, but you never know how they're going to gel. You never know how they're going to come together as a team. Why did those guys end up at Florida International? Probably because they didn't end up at working out at other places, and there's always a reason. So, what's your take on that, Josh? Did you watch the games last night?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I had a feeling, Indiana. I had a feeling, and based off no facts at all, but I had a feeling that game was going to be close. I really did.
Oh man, so did I, and it was.
Yeah,
it was. It really was.
Did the thing, so I kind of went about how I expected. I still expected Ohio State.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I did. I think I had it 38-24. I had handicapped it, I think, at 13.5 before the line came out. When I saw it at 21, I just didn't understand how you could put. I know it's Ohio State that we're talking about, but how you can, put them as a 3-touchdown favorite on the road in a season opener, coming off a 31-point loss. You know what I mean? Like, I just, did they cover it? They did. But Indiana allowed them to find their rhythm, man. And once they found their rhythm, they're going to be scary now. Literally, that fourth quarter could have made or break the Buckeye season. And I think that they found their identity. I watched it take place in the fourth quarter, and I think that Oklahoma game, man, it's going to be a really good game next week. Whereas if Indiana tries to control the clock, let the play clock run down, run the ball, pass when they have to, use the quarterback in other ways, as opposed to doing what got them to that point. I get they kept doing what got them to that point, but man, when you were leading against an elite team like that at home with less than 20 minutes in the game, you gotta protect that and give your guys a chance to win. And they didn't do that, man. They went 3 and out. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 4 times in a row. And Ohio State took advantage every time and ended up walking out of there with a big win. On paper, it looks great. If you watch the game, Indiana went toe-to-toe with apparently the number 3 team in the country for 3 quarters. So what does that say? So I don't know. The season will tell. That's why I love college football so much. The parity is what makes it so great.
I would say one thing that did surprise me was Tulsa.
Yeah.
I thought that would be much more.
No, yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so did I. I'm with you there. And that's another thing when I look at Memphis. We've experienced success at Tulsa. We've experienced success at Houston. Going back to the D'Angelo, since Memphis started becoming more of a football program, back in the Tommy West days, and then in the Fuente, we've gone down to Houston and beaten them multiple times. We've gone to Tulsa and beaten them multiple times. If we can split those games, I think that's a win. Can we go down there and win both of those? I definitely. We have the talent to do it. The odds are that we'll probably split those games. I believe that we'll beat UCLA because everything's in our favor. We have the talent. They have a young quarterback. Granted, he's a very good quarterback, but when you're on the road like that, with the crowd's going to be crazy. It's going to be just like Ole Miss, man. In 15, the crowd's going to be a factor. They've got a young quarterback. It's going to be such an early start for them. If we can get out of there, we need to focus on Central Florida. That's the main thing. We got a big game next week in Orlando, so I don't want to talk about UCLA and start looking ahead. Central Florida looked good last night. We definitely have our hands full. But if we, hypothetically speaking, if we do lose that game next week down in Orlando, UCLA really needs to look out because I believe in let down spots and look ahead spots. I hope that our guys are mature enough to not look ahead to UCLA and know that they have a conference game coming up on the road. I think they will. I think Norvell is a good coach, and I think we have enough seniors that have been there: Sharif White, Jannard Avery, Jackson Dillon, Phil Mayhew, Sam Kraft, Anthony Miller. We've got guys on both sides of the ball that'll keep the young guys focused, I think, and help the coach. I think we have a lot of leadership in the locker room. And we just need to go down there, take care of business, be 2-0 going into that UCLA game, and man, if we can come out of that, there's high hopes for Tiger football. It's just that Navy game, man. It's the one that stands out. After that, if we can win that game, that'd be great. If we don't, it's how we respond to that. It's going to determine the rest of the season. So. And another note, NFL is also going to be starting here soon. Are you excited about that, man? Who's your team, Josh?
Well, I'm a Titans fan.
Titans fan. Good deal. And on the podcast the other night, with Quentin, Sports Queued Up on the OEM Network. If you haven't subscribed to my buddy Quentin Bailey's podcast, it's Sports Queued Up on the OEM Network. You can get it on Stitcher if you have an Android. You can get it on iTunes if you have an iPhone. We made our picks, and all three of them had Houston coming out. I picked the Titans. I was the homer when it comes to the pick, but I think the Titans have it this year, man. I think that the schedule, the division's kind of soft. I don't think the Colts are going to be very good. It's going to be between them and the Texans. The quarterback is the big question in Houston. What's going to happen there? Is it going to be Savage? Is it going to be Watson? Nobody really knows. The defense is scary. When you got Clowney and White coming off the edge, you can terrorize any offense basically. But I picked the Titans. On the NFC side, I have Green Bay and Atlanta. Depending on who gets that one spot between Green Bay and Atlanta, if it's Atlanta down in the Georgia Dome, I think they go back to play the Patriots. If Green Bay gets the home field, I don't think that anybody can go to Lambeau and win. So depending on that, I think I had Green Bay and the Patriots. With the Raiders making a good showing in the AFC this year, I think they're going to be good. So it's a little bit on the NFL. As far as this weekend goes, Saturday, big day, man. A lot of good games. You got Georgia Tech and Tennessee, Florida and Michigan, which is a game that I'm looking forward to. I think people are making a really, really big deal about these suspensions. Really only, in my opinion, two of them are very significant, Jordan Scarlett and Callaway. Does losing them hurt? Yeah, of course it does. But, Jim McElwain has done an excellent job recruiting, man. Florida has the guys. Even with the 10 suspensions, Michigan is still the more inexperienced team going in. Then it's down in Arlington, Texas. It's going to be hot.
It's funny, nobody's looking at those things.
No, they don't. See, that's the difference between me. Well, not between me, but some football fans and others. They just. I don't know why. I think the wrong team's favored in that game for one. That's my opinion. I know there's suspensions. Maybe that has something to do with the line. But Florida is the more talented team. Florida's the more experienced team. That's including the suspensions. Really, only 2 or 3 of those 10 guys are significant. They have depth. McElwain's come right in while Muschamp, tried everything he could to ruin the program. Came in and won back-to-back SEC East titles. Why would you go against that? What are you basing that off of? I think that Felipe Franks was named the starting quarterback, the redshirt freshman that was highly touted. So they'll probably give him a shot, see how it goes. If he struggles, they've got Del Rio still there. They've got Malik Zaire, who's I believe 5th-year graduate transfer from Notre Dame. And then they've got another guy, Trask, I think is his name. So they got 4 options at quarterback. I think Franks is by far, he's most definitely the future of the program. I think if you want to win now, he's probably your best bet. But, it's nice to have Malik Zaire on the sideline. You know what I mean? He's got the game experience, especially if Franks gets hurt. He's got to put some weight on. But they've got running backs. Jordan Scarlett isn't their only running back. They've got wide receivers. I know Callaway's huge as far as the return game goes and being the threat to go to. But I think they're going to be fine, man. They're faster than Michigan. It's being played in Texas. We'll see, man. We'll see what happens. Then Georgia Tech, Tennessee. That's going to be another good game. We'll get to see what Tennessee's got as far as quarterback goes. Like I said, I've got them finishing, I think, 4th. In the East, I think it's going to be Florida and Georgia. It's going to come down to October 28th in the cocktail party. Depending on who takes that side of the SEC. And then I've got a weird pick at 3, man. I've got a pick that most people don't have. I've got South Carolina coming in 3rd. I'm not a Will Muschamp fan. I don't think he's a very good head coach. But when I look at their schedule, they got an excellent draw in the SEC West. They got the teams that are going to finish, I believe, in the bottom half. They didn't get LSU, they didn't get Alabama, they didn't get Auburn, so they avoided those 3, and I think 8 of their 12 games are at home. Or I think 7 of their 12 games are at home, including a neutral site against NC State to open up. So we'll see. That's another game, South Carolina, NC State. I think that'll be a good game. Dana Dowdy's on my live saying Jalen Hurts is a beast. So let's talk about the game everybody wants to talk about, man. Alabama is going to be playing Florida State. We'll talk about it when we come back from break, okay? We'll talk about Alabama and Florida State when we get back.
How you feeling, man?
What's that?
How you feeling?
I feel great. Doing what I love to do, man. Is there a place I can get water?
Well, I bring some with me.
I know, I normally do, but I'll be all right. I'll take it.
I got some.
I'll have to remember that next time. What's going on, everybody who's in here? Oh, yeah, Coach Frank. What's going on? Dana, we're about to talk a little Alabama, Florida State for you. Steve Perez, what's going on? Mario, what's going on? T-Free, what's going on, guys? Megan, how are you? Where's my fiance at? Mike Chavez, what's going on, brother? I'm guessing Amanda is not in here for some reason. She must not be feeling well. What's up, bro? Gabe's in here. Sheila. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Be sure you let people know what you do. Yeah. How you do that, so.
Who? This?
Yeah.
The number here?
The number to the station.
What is it?
It's up on screen now.
452-39.
Oh yeah, and what I'm doing now, this is talkback, so it's not on the air.
Okay.
I'll give you a message sometimes.
Sure.
This way.
Okay. What time do we have? What time we got?
45. So that come back right now.
Hey, welcome back. Andrew Vanelli, Sports Hour with Ace. I'm your host, Andrew Vanelli. Today's show, real quick, brought to you by the award-winning Sheffield Antique Mall. It's at 684 West Poplar in Collierville. There's 300 dealers that bring an awesome collection of all things chic, unique, and antique. Merchandise for the discerning collector, the casual shopper, and those looking for amazing gifts can find it all at Sheffield. Also, the legendary cuisine of Ronnie Grisani's is available for lunch Monday through Saturday and fine evening dining Thursday through Saturday. Sheffield Antiques is a totally unique experience where the past meets the present. You can reach them at 901-853-7822, or you can go online and find them at www.sheffield-antiques.com. The show is presented by Sheffield Antique Mall, and I want to thank them. We're going to get into the Florida State and Alabama game. That's the one that everybody wants to talk about. And I think it's going to be a really good game, man. Both teams are loaded with talent. Real quick before I get into the game, if you'd like to call into the show, the number is 901-452-3094. That's 901-452-3094. Feel free to call in. We got about 13 minutes left. So Florida State, Alabama, great head coaching matchup. Jimbo Fisher, Nick Saban. My take on the game, I'm not going to say too much because it may be one of my plays. Those that know me, I handicap. I've got a big night, or not a big night tonight. I've got one play tonight and then a big weekend tomorrow. But I think when you give Nick Saban 6 months, 7 months to prepare for a team, you automatically have an advantage. He's excellent at creating a game plan. He's got the talent this year, as always. I know they lost a lot to the NFL draft. What year did they not lose a lot to the NFL draft? They plug guys in. I believe there will be some guys that maybe we haven't heard of, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that make a name for themselves real quick. I believe that they will win the game. Francois, I really like at quarterback. I think Florida State is going to be really, really good this year. I do not have them winning the ACC. I've got Clemson. I think Clemson, for some reason, I don't know why, everyone's counting out the national champs. I know Deshaun Watson's gone. I understand that, but the quarterback that they're bringing in is pretty good. Dabo Swinney has done an excellent job of recruiting every year that he's been there. They're going to be good on defense. I believe they'll be really good on offense. They get Florida State at home this year, and I think that's the difference in winning the ACC and not. And I have them winning the ACC. Florida State, I do believe, will be good, though. Francois is really good at quarterback. He's not as good as Jalen Hurts, though, so advantage Alabama. Alabama has an absolute stable of running backs. They could literally lose 2 or 3 guys for the year and still probably be okay. They've got guys waiting. They've been waiting to finally get the limelight, waiting for O.J. Howard and Ardarius Stewart to leave. So they'll step in nicely, and I think Alabama's just going to be Alabama. They're gonna impose their will on people. They're going to get back to Alabama football. Last year I was surprised at the outcome. I thought they would win it last year. They were my pick to win it last year. And after that performance, I think they'll have a chip on their shoulder. The guys that return have a chip on their shoulder. What better way to kick off the year than against the number three team in the country to kind of show people what they're about, who they are. I think they'll be able to. Florida State's got an excellent defense. Both teams are really, really good. The game's in Atlanta. I feel like Alabama plays in Atlanta almost as much as they play in Tuscaloosa, man. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be any different for them. Florida State has played there as well. That's home of the Peach Bowl, the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where it's very interesting. Chick-fil-A is a titled sponsor, but they're not open on Sundays, where the Falcons play. That's been a topic of discussion. So in that game, I've got Alabama. If anybody wants to call in, it's 901-452-3094. If you want to talk about the Alabama-Florida State game, feel free to call in. We still got a few minutes. What's that?
You look at Bama. It's almost going to be, in your opinion, like Bama USC, where people look at USC, oh man, teams got a lot of good recruits.
Yeah.
Two big name schools going at it.
Yeah.
Or does FSU actually have a chance?
No, absolutely FSU. Yeah, Florida State has a chance for the simple fact that they just got talent. Jimbo Fisher's done an excellent job of recruiting. They've got talent, so of course they have a chance. It's a season opener. Teams make mistakes, early on, and then they adjust. They make adjustments. Alabama's usually pretty good. They have such a good coach. Nick Saban's such a good coach, but so is Jimbo Fisher. But they'll make adjustments. There's nobody better than Nick Saban at making adjustments. So I think the first half will be really close, really interesting. I expect it to be a defensive struggle. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I really do. A lot of people are saying they'll get into the 50s and 60s. Maybe it will. I think if that happens, the defense will be scoring, or there will be some special teams scoring. If they line up and play Alabama football and Florida State lines up and plays their style ball, the two defenses are too good for the offenses in a first game of the season type of situation. If the game was in the middle of the season or the end of the season, I could see it maybe going into the mid 50s, early low 60s. I just don't, and that could happen. I don't expect it to. I think it's going to be the first half. They're going to fill each other out. The defenses will probably dominate on both sides. The offenses will try to find their way, and then I think Alabama will go to Alabama football late in the third, and then wear them down in the fourth, and then start to create separation. They'll win the game in the fourth quarter. I have them winning. Well, I don't want to say too much. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I provide a handicapping service, and I probably already have said too much. I don't know if I'm going to make that a play yet. I haven't decided yet, but I think Alabama will impose their will on them in the fourth quarter. You can find you can call me anytime, 901-900-9315 to get some more information on the service that I provide. I also have a website, www.acesports324.myfreesites.net. We are in the process of updating it. You can go there, get some more information. My email is andrew@vanelli.net. That's ANDREW @VANELLI.net. And I got my best friend from childhood's mom on the phone, Dana Dowdy. She's probably going to voice her opinion on Alabama. How are you? Roll Tide. Yeah. He is the man. He is the man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a marquee game, man. You're talking about number 1 versus number 3 to kick the season off. Two teams that a lot of people have, seen each other again in the national championship. And, that could happen. That would be very interesting, Oh, absolutely. I love Dabo Swinney, man. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I knew that. Mm-hmm. And right. I think everybody's looking forward to the weekend ahead, man. And what a highlight game, man. Number 1 versus number 3. I do think Alabama will win the game. No, I think it'll be in the 40s. That's what what I'm saying. I think it'll be in the 40s. I think Bama wins by a touchdown plus. I'll leave it at that. That's my opinion. I think in the fourth quarter they will wear those boys out. Up front on offense. I know Alabama's defense is going to be good. Francois is tough. He's very tough. He's not as good as Hurts. They got the advantage of quarterback. They're going to be able to keep fresh legs in the backfield. But both teams will probably be able to do that. But Alabama has the advantage there, I believe. It's going to come down to who makes mistakes. If Alabama makes more mistakes, man, Florida State can win the game. I expect Florida State to make the mistakes because Nick Saban's, in my opinion, the better coach. He recruits the smarter players. So, I think when you give Nick Saban 6 months to prepare, that's the difference right there. He will have a game plan, and Alabama will win that game. So I'm excited to watch it. Sure, absolutely. They're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. Yeah, absolutely. Ohio State did their thing last night. It took them, 3 quarters to get going, but they found their rhythm and they made it happen. And I think that's going to change the whole. If they wouldn't have found their rhythm in that game last night, their season would have been entirely different. But I think they figured it out. They found their identity there towards the end of the game, and I think that Oklahoma game will be real good next week. So. Sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Christian Brothers, baby. Yeah. Awesome. I'll definitely be watching them, man. I'm watching all those guys out there. I love my Tigers, man. I love my Tigers. He really is. He's doing a good job, and let's just enjoy him while we have him. Hopefully we can keep him for a while, and hopefully the Tigers will do good this year, man. I have high expectations for him, and I know I can't wait for 15 days from now. I'm super excited. I can't do that. I cannot do that on the air, and I know for a fact Josh isn't going to do it. Now I gave you enough picking Alabama. You will not get a roll tide, but that's a good try though. Oh, there we go. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. There we go. We can do that. Thanks for calling, Dana. Take care. So yeah, we're not giving the roll tide. I'm giving them Alabama credit. They're going to be able to show what they have. Like I said, I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying. I think Florida State will be very good this year. I do have Clemson coming out of the ACC for the simple fact that everybody is counting the national champions out. I don't understand it. Dabo Swinney has recruited there for, since he's been there very well. They've been in the top, I think, 3 to 5 every year. Ohio State did their thing last night. The fourth quarter was huge for them. I can't emphasize that enough. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but they really, in that fourth quarter, they found their identity. That's Indiana's fault, in my opinion. I think they should have slowed it down and tried to control the ball when they had the lead late in the third. They didn't do that. They kept doing the same thing and running that kind of hurry-up, fast pace, and they went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. They gave Ohio State enough opportunities on offense to find their identity, and they got some momentum, and they started dominating. And if that game would have been played for a couple more quarters, it would have gotten ugly real quick. It kind of did get ugly real quick. But I got to give it to Indiana for hanging in with them 3 quarters, which I expected them to do. So that being said, man, I'm really looking forward to the college football weekend. I know you're excited. Josh, you're a UT fan, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I like the Vols. I did. I'll put it that way.
Well, sure, absolutely. They were fun to watch, man. I've never been a Vols fan. Butch Jones, it's like the fans are always calling for the head of the head coach, man. You can win 10 games every season, and that's not good enough. But that's kind of the standard that Johnny Majors and Phil Fulmer set. They were good for a long time. So, there's nothing wrong with having high expectations. But I think if they gave Butch the chance that he could get it done, I think they got a really bad draw this year. The schedule is really, really tough. So my buddy Sean Knight's on here. I'm doing this Facebook Live. He said, "Go Vols." I like to see, I'm an SEC fan, man. I like the Tigers. That's the home team. I root for the home team. I've lived here my whole life. The city comes together when the Tigers and the Grizzlies are playing good, so that's what I like. And then, of course, I grew up a Notre Dame fan. I was a Rocket Ismail fan. So, outside the Tigers, I like Notre Dame, and then I just like SEC football. I think it's the best. What's that?
I'll tell you this. It seems like the ACC probably the best conference.
The Big Ten, I'm going to tell you something now. Ohio State's going to be there. Ohio State's always going to be there. Urban Meyer's such a good coach. They've got a senior quarterback. Their defense, you're not going to run on them. Their front seven is awesome. If they have any weakness, it's in the secondary, and it's just because they're young. They're going to get better because they're talented. They're just young. But Wisconsin, man, and then Penn State, on the top end. Michigan State's always going to be Michigan. I don't know, but when I look at Penn State, Ohio State, and Wisconsin has a really, really nice schedule. It sets up for them at least. Don't be surprised if they're a dark horse out of the Big Ten to challenge Ohio State or Penn State for the title. I have Ohio State showing up in the BCS with Alabama, Clemson, and I think it's USC out of the Pac-12. I don't think there will be a conference this year that brings two. If there is a conference that sends two, it'll be the Pac-12 because it's so watered down. The Pac-12 is not very good this year. Oregon will improve from last year, but they're not what they used to be. It's Washington and USC, man. It's going to be between them two. And if they don't beat each other up, I don't think a conference will send two. I think there will be one from each. And I had fun, Josh, man, for my first time. I had a blast. It goes by quick. Thank you for sharing your perspective with me. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Thanks to all the callers. Andrew Vanelli, the Ace, is signing out every Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. God is good. Thank you so much for tuning in.